In the vast tapestry of human history, wars often leave behind scars, ruins of cities, broken empires, and the memories of those who perished. Yet, every so often, a light shines through the darkest storms, revealing the quiet strength of human dignity. And among the chronicles of the Crusades, those turbulent clashes between East and West, one such light emerges in the form of a story whispered across centuries: the diplomacy of ice and fruits. This is not merely a tale of two armies, nor a clash of kings over sacred lands. It is a story about noble conduct, about futuwah, the Islamic code of chivalry, and about the moment when compassion triumphed over hatred. At its heart stand two men, Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, the steadfast sultan of the Muslim world, and Richard the Lionheart, the fierce yet respected king of England. The Third Crusade, which began in 1189, unfolded like a storm. It started after Salahuddin recaptured Jerusalem in 1187, following the monumental Battle of Hattin. Europe trembled. The papacy cried out for a new crusade, calling upon kings and knights to reclaim the Holy City. Three monarchs answered the call: Frederick Barbarossa of Germany, Philip II of France, and Richard the Lionheart. Yet only Richard would remain until the end, a persistent and formidable foe. On the other side was Salahuddin, who had unified Egypt, Syria, and parts of Iraq under the Ayyubid banner. Known for his humility, justice, and deep devotion, he ruled with a firm yet compassionate hand. These two towering figures, one from the east, one from the west, were destined for a clash that would resonate through the ages. Though Salahuddin and Richard never met face to face, their respect for each other transcended the battlefield. They communicated through envoys, most notably through Salahuddin's brother Al-Adil. Both men were brilliant warriors, both were charismatic leaders, and both, it seems, understood the weight of humanity, even in the midst of war. Their rivalry was forged not just in battle, but in honor. It was during one of these tense moments, amid sieges, negotiations, and skirmishes, that Richard the Lionheart fell gravely ill. He was struck down by a high fever, exhaustion, and the relentless heat of the Levant. As his condition worsened, news reached Salahuddin's camp, and then came the moment that would echo through time. Instead of celebrating his enemy's misfortune, Salahuddin did the unthinkable. He summoned his personal physicians. He gathered fresh fruits from the lush orchards of Damascus, grapes, pears, and pomegranates. He ordered something even more precious: ice and snow brought down from the mountains, an unimaginable luxury in the scorching medieval desert, and he sent them all to Richard the Lionheart. Through his emissaries, Salahuddin's message was clear: a king, as great as Richard, should not perish from sickness, but by the sword of a noble foe. The Muslim chronicler Ibn Shaddad, who was Salahuddin's close companion, recorded this act in his work, Al-Nawadir al-Sultaniyya. He noted that the Sultan's gesture was praised by allies and enemies alike. Western chroniclers, too, like those behind the Itinerarium Peregrinorum, wrote with awe of this unprecedented generosity: a Muslim ruler sending medicine, ice, and comfort to a Christian king who had come to conquer his lands. This wasn't an isolated incident. In another famous episode, Richard's horse was killed from under him in the heat of battle. When Salahuddin heard of this, he sent him 2 fine replacement horses, declaring that it was not fitting for a commander like Richard to fight on foot. These gestures were more than just battlefield courtesies. They redefined the very meaning of honor. To understand these moments, we have to understand the concept of futuwah, the Islamic code of chivalry. It embodies courage without cruelty, strength tempered with mercy, honor even toward one's enemy, and generosity in times of conflict. Salahuddin lived by this code. He believed that war should never strip a person of their humanity. Ibn Shaddad wrote that Salahuddin strived to imitate the noble character of the Prophet Muhammad, treating even his enemies with justice and compassion. This wasn't just tactical politics. It was a adab, a display of pure, principled ethics. The ethics of war are clearly outlined in Islam. The Qur'an and in the traditions of the Prophet Muhammad provide strict codes of conduct. Do not kill non-combatants, do not destroy crops or trees, do not torture or mutilate, and treat captives with dignity. The Quran says, "And they give food out of love for him to the poor, the orphan, and the captive." The Prophet Muhammad famously said, "Show mercy to those on earth, and the one above the heavens will show mercy to you." Saladin didn't just know these principles, he lived them. Even Western historians, who were often critical of Muslim leaders, couldn't deny Saladin's virtue. Ambroise, a French poet who witnessed the Crusades, praised him as noble and merciful. The historian William of Tyre described him as intelligent, active in war, and generous beyond measure. Modern historian Jonathan Phillips writes that Saladin's courtesy, justice, and mercy were revered not only by Muslims, but by his Christian rivals, including Richard. This mutual admiration shaped a unique chapter in Crusader history, where two enemies respected one another more deeply than some allies did. So why does this story matter today? In a world so quick to paint entire faiths with a single brush, often labeling Islam as violent or intolerant, the diplomacy of ice and fruit stands as a powerful historical testament. It shows that Islam is a faith deeply rooted in mercy, dignity, and humanity. The renowned historian Karen Armstrong noted that Saladin's clemency in retaking Jerusalem stood in stark contrast to the Crusaders' brutal sack of the city in 1099. Through his actions, Saladin proved that true strength is not measured by brutality, but by the ability to uphold compassion even when confronting an enemy. His legacy transcends time and culture. In Dante's Divine Comedy, Saladin is placed in limbo alongside the great philosophers Plato and Socrates, a rare honor for a Muslim figure in European literature. In medieval romances and legends, he often appears as the model of a noble, virtuous knight. And among Muslims, he remains an eternal symbol of leadership, humility, and spiritual strength. This story of ice, fruit, and compassion is more than just a historical anecdote. It's a reminder that humanity can rise even from the fires of war, that respect can exist between enemies, and that dignity is a language understood by all hearts, regardless of faith or flag. May this story inspire us to choose compassion over anger, to honor dignity over division, and to build bridges even where walls once stood. For in the memory of Saladin and Richard, we learn a timeless lesson. That peace truly begins when we dare to see the humanity in others, even those we call our enemies. Thanks for watching, and if you found this story meaningful, please consider subscribing for more history that matters.